think this is probably my team or something.
I was gonna say, it looks like a lot of Disney folks up in here. I wonder why. All right, thank you for being here. It's funny because when we started the conference out yesterday, I was thinking, oh yeah, this is a great place to have a conference because it's Disney World and everybody's excited. And now it's a great place to have a conference, but everybody's at Disney World. So I get it, but it's a lesson learned. Let's just say that. But I will say I'm super excited to be here with Gail Evans, who's the Chief Digital Officer and Chief Technology Officer for Disney Parks Experience and Products. Did I get it right?
Close enough.
Okay. And thank you for being with us, Gail. For those of you who aren't familiar with Gail, maybe you can just tell us a little bit about your background and your story.
Well, I've been around technology for a long time, but I've had very humble beginnings. I've worked for Microsoft, HP, Bank of America, Mercer. So I've been around consumer products, B2B, but more importantly, I'm doing what I love. And what I love is to partner with a bunch of smart people to do some disruptive things. And that's where I landed here at Disney, because I believe I found a home.
So I guess most people wouldn't consider Disney a technical company or a digital organization. What was the impetus or the decision for you that kind of drove the point home to say, this is where I want to be?
Well, first of all, Disney is very much a technical company, you know, and we use technology to create smiles, memories, moments for family, for adults. And the technology, you know, this magic band, it's technology. When you're looking at Harmonious and it's synced with the radio nodes and your wrist, that's technology. But I actually came to Disney to disrupt something.
Okay.
You know, and that's using the technology that we have and the talent that we have. We're positioned to disrupt entertainment, just like Walt did. You know, he changed the face of entertainment, and we in tech and digital, in DPEP and DMED, we're positioned to do that. So that's why I'm here, for innovation, for the people, for, you know, Genie Plus, Magic Band, and we have ships, big ones. You know, I went on Disney Wish and I was completely blown away with the technology that we put together, the satellite where we have Wi-Fi on ships, we have a data center. So, you know, don't sleep on Disney when it comes to technology, because we got it going on over here.
Okay, all right. Definitely. And Disney would seem to me like a fun place to work.
Oh, fun? We have fun every day. We work next to the park.
So
just keeping people probably at their desk is the biggest challenge.
So what do you consider, I guess, fun for you, or what is, I guess, one of the more fun parts of your job, or one of the more interesting parts of your role?
I think the passion and pride of the people. And you might hear that, and I'm not phony, by the way, so you have a bunch of people in the audience that are a part of the team. But it is the people here, the passion and the pride of being a part of Disney, and wanting to, when you go in the park and you see a little kid that, you know, first time in the park, that's unforgettable. That smile is unforgettable. And you want to create that, and you want to take technology to create more of that.
I think the first time I went to Disney, I was about, I can't remember, 7, maybe first grade-ish, and I still remember it. So I understand those those initial smiles that you speak of. But I want to ask you a little bit about your history before Disney. What did you do before, and kind of your trajectory to get to where you are?
Well, I've had a very interesting journey. Before I joined, I'm going to take you back 25, 30 years, because that is when I was a janitor. You know, at one point in my career, I was very, I don't know if it was a shame or just didn't feel good to express that. And it was later on in my career where I needed to be me, right? So I worked my way up in Eastman Kodak Company, software engineer, development manager, QA manager. Eventually, I left Eastman Kodak Company as their CIO of digital. When I left Eastman Kodak Company as the CIO of digital, and I left for various reasons, had a debate with the CEO at the time on digital, and left soon after. But please make no mistake, Kodak had a lot of the inventions and the technology and the innovation that you see today. I left there and went to Bank of America because I wanted to be in a place where there was larger scale, big data, because big data was on the horizon. So I spent 5 years there. It was a rough time. It was right in the middle of the financial crisis, and Obama did the bailout, if you all remember that. With Merrill Lynch and Countrywide. Yep. And then I decided I had never lived on the West Coast, so skipped over to California and worked for HP, led their digital transformation for 5, 6 years, worldwide, I don't know, 50 countries, 30 languages, was having a ball. And some mentor said, maybe you need to have a big technology company. Oh, HP isn't enough on your resume. So I went to Microsoft and joined Microsoft Studios as their general manager in their Halo. I guess you guys would know Halo. That was Microsoft Studios. Yeah. And then I thought, well, I'm in Seattle. My sons are on the East Coast. I need to go back east. And I went to Mercer. And that was B2B because I had been in the consumer space and I wanted to know what it was like to be a part of a consultant. I had never, and that's a whole new world. Trust me, it is a whole new world to be supporting consultants. They are very meticulous, and the quality is exceptional, off the charts. And it's there that I learned how to take my technology ideas and translate them into PowerPoints and Word documents that were powerful, that would get my message across to people who were not technologists.
No,
and then Disney.
I was gonna say, it seems like you've had a storied career, definitely some big brands there. I'm assuming, and I don't want to make assumptions, so I'm going to ask the question, that you were one of very few, if not the only black woman in the spaces that you were in on the way up.
All the time.
So at what level did you notice that you were different?
Well, I think you know you're different, Dennis, from the day you become a professional. You know you're different. The question is, how do you take that difference and feel a part of the company, feel a part of the conversation? And that's the hard part, I think, was for me, because here I am, I know I was a janitor, and when at Eastman Kodak Company, I fought that, because they're like, don't I know you? Yeah, you know me. But I do think the hard part about being the only female and the only black person in the room is trying to decide how you fit in. You know, how do you fit in? Sometimes I didn't change my language. You know, I thought, wow, I said that. You know, that was the wrong word. I'm not at home. I'm not speaking to my cousin. You know, I need to change my language a little bit. So you get all these voices in your head about what it is you need to do differently to fit in. And I spent 15 years of that, trying to just figure out how to fit in. And then one day I looked in the mirror and I said, you know what, this is tiresome.
It is.
I just need to just be me and let that take me wherever it's going to take me. But I'm just going to be myself. You're either going to love me or love to hate me, one way or the other. I'm going to be myself. And when I gave myself that freedom, wow. Then things changed for me, right? It changed for me. My trajectory in my career changed.
It's so much easier to be your authentic self than to have to try to be someone you think people want you to be.
That's right.
Yeah. And with Disney, so from the outside looking in, I look at Disney as a very inclusive organization, represented by all of the black faces with Disney logos that I see. But what was your experience when you were coming to Disney? Did you know that they valued inclusivity the way they do, or was that something that was, you know, maybe secondary you learned after the fact?
I guess when I came to Disney, first of all, diversity and inclusion is a part of who I am, right? It is not something I get from a corporation. It's just who I am. And I put inclusion ahead of diversity, because inclusion means I can be in conversations where you will accept me for me, whether I'm black, green, purple, I speak a foreign language, I have different ideas. So diversity and inclusion is at the heart of everything I do. But when I interviewed for this job, I interviewed just as much about diversity and thought for the interviewers than they interviewed me. And what I found was that all of them, each and every leader that interviewed me was authentic. They recognized the cast. They kept referring to the cast. Everything that Disney delivers in DPEP is about the cast. And the last time I was in the park, it was a mosaic of differences. Different people, different sizes, disabilities, everything was in the park. So that had to be a place for me. And that's why I'm here, because, you know, when I met Josh, the chairman, it was a deal. It sealed the deal for me. I switched from, well, let's see where we go, to, I really want to work there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's my journey to Disney.
That's impressive. I think when I think about diversity and inclusion, I heard a quote that said, what was it? That plantations were diverse, you know, and it's all about the inclusion and the equity in that diversity that matters. Now, what advice would you give to someone who wanted to emulate your experience? I mean, coming from, you mentioned humble means. I don't think there's anything more humble than going from a janitor to the C-suite, right? How does someone get out of their own way in order to make the strides that you did? Not to say that they would do anything identical, but what advice would you give someone who's trying to figure out their way in the world?
Well, I don't think anything comes without hard work. You have to work hard. No one's going to give you anything. And no, you are not entitled to it either. You got to work hard for it. But working hard and working smart doesn't mean that you don't maintain your own pride, your own self-respect, and who you are. So hard working. What I found is that I needed to be the best. And what did that mean? Well, what that meant to me is that if I'm going to be a technologist, I'm going to do my homework. And I'm going to understand the different technologies. I'm going to be able to participate in conversations about technology, and all conversations about technology. And that was probably putting too much pressure on myself, but I wanted to. And so all the roles that I have had over the years, when I speak to my team, the development community, I'm speaking to them because I was once a developer. I was once a chief architect. And when I think about data, and that guy over there that's leading data, I have been a data architect. I've had different roles because I knew eventually I wanted to lead a technology team. Now, did I ever imagine I would be an executive vice president? Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did. It was a dream. And dreams do come true.
With respect to goal setting and I guess personal drive and motivation, where do you get your strength from? Who motivates you? What motivates you? How do you, keep going when you don't want to?
My mom would say to me, "You're gonna be somebody." I never knew what that meant. I was like, "You're too hard on me. Can you give me a break? I need a break. You're gonna do something great in your life. But no matter what you do in your life, Gail, never forget where you came from." And so what motivates me every day is to pay it forward. There were a number of angels for me along the way, people who believed in me, who gave me extra, encouragement. When I sit in a meeting and no one, you ever heard of mansplaining?
Oh, yeah. My wife tells me all the time I'm an expert.
Oh, yeah? There's people who master that, and I would feel bad. I would have people who would come to me and, you ever had people talk you off the cliff? Don't do that. Don't take that path. Mm-hmm. So I've had a lot of angels. So what gets me up in the morning is my sense of wanting to coach, wanting to give back. The knowledge that I've gained, not only in being a Black woman who is a technologist, but also a technologist who has a lot of experience to give back to all people, not just the Black community, but to the person who's growing as a developer or an architect who wants to be a CTO. I want to be able to coach and give advice and help folks see their dreams come true. That's what motivates me every day.
All right, no, I couldn't think of a better answer. And you mentioned coaches and mentors and angels. I guess with respect to finding a mentor or getting guidance, did you seek people out, or did they just, help you because they saw something in you to help you?
Well, a little bit of both, I guess. At Eastman Kodak Company, when I was a janitor, I went to school part-time to get my degree. I sent an email to then the president of Instant Film. And I told her that I was a janitor and I aspired to have a career trajectory as hers. And if she could find it in her heart to meet with me, I would love to meet with her. And her name was Kathy Hudson. She actually read the email, and I didn't meet with her. She delegated it to one of her direct reports, but I didn't even think that would happen. So I had breakfast as a janitor in the C-suite little breakfast thing they do. I didn't even know that place existed. And she mentored me for many years after that. But sometimes being a little bold and reaching out to folks and seeing if there's synergy is good, is really good. And you have to treasure mentors because they're giving up their time to you to help you. So you need to come prepared. So I was prepared. I put on my best little dress, suit, and she asked some hard questions like, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? And at that time, I made up some stuff, honestly. But later, I was afraid to dream big, right? I was afraid to tell her, I want your job. And so I sought after some, and others, because I delivered, because I had a reputation for getting things done, I had a lot more sponsors than I had mentors. So mentors were the people that I can come to with a problem and they help you work through the problem. So there has to be some really good synergy with a mentor, right? Because you want to lay some crazy things out there and ask for their help. And so one of my mentors now, at Harvard, I sent him a LinkedIn, and all it said was, thank you. And this was 25 years ago, and he still remembered me. I said, I know you don't remember me, but look at me now. And he said, I do remember you, and I'm not surprised.
Oh, wow.
Right? So those types of relationships, I think, help you. So sponsors are equally as important because they will be in places that you won't be. And you need to have someone that will say, hey, maybe Dennis would be great for that job. And your mentor is a person, and many folks want many mentors. I had maybe 4 or 5 in my career, and some of them are still mentoring me, and they're retired. So it's not how many mentors you have. It is really about how are they able to help you grow as a professional and personally. But those sponsors, those are the people who help your career to grow.
So I'm going to ask you a question for my own personal edification.
Not on this list, huh? So I might as well drop that.
No, this is on me now. We passed the list. So,
we're way past that list. I seen you drop your phone,
Yeah,
so I thought,
no, we're off
well,
record.
maybe.
So I'll keep it. I'll be nice.
Okay.
But
Be nice to me,
yeah,
you know.
I have a challenge because a lot of people ask me to mentor them. I'm sure people ask you to mentor as well. How do you approach not being able to scale yourself to help everybody that wants your help?
I thought you said it wasn't going to be hard. There was a time that I didn't know how to say no because I would hear my mother's voice, you got to give back, remember, don't get, you know. And, but I wasn't helping them by rescheduling all the time, reschedule, you know. So what I've tried to do is how can I apply more innovative techniques to mentor, which is, can we have an email relationship, right? And meet less frequently, for example, right? Or even text, you know, I don't know, my sons and, you know, maybe they're Gen Z, millennials, I don't know what they are. I see them, they're always on, you know, I can be in the kitchen and they can be upstairs and they could just say, hey, Ma, but they'll text me. And I don't understand, maybe someone will help me figure that out. You know, like walk down the stairs and say whatever you need, ask me whatever you need to ask.
My daughter does the same.
So, so I try to be more creative, and maybe it's an email, maybe it's a text, and if things are really in a bad place for them, I try to make time in the evenings to have a conversation. But then there are folks that I just, you know, you get to levels where you just can't be effective with individuals. And so I have to say I can't. I would love to, but I can't.
Yeah.
You know, but that's really painful for me because I am a role model.
Yeah.
And I take that job very seriously. And so I want to help as many folks on their journey. And oh, by the way, if you waste my time once, you don't get a second chance.
Right.
Just to be clear, you know, I'm not this, my sons will say, she doesn't trust her. Because it is important that you're taking time that someone else could take with me, and you're late, you don't have anything you really want to talk about. And so you have to be prepared to, what is it that's on your mind? What's blocking you? What are those things you need to grow? Because there are so many, you know, you work 12, 13 hours a day, and then you want to do, work on top of that. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So I think the mentee has some responsibilities.
I think mentees, and it depends on the mentee. But I've had situations where mentees assume that because I said I would assist them means that I'm going to get them a job or I'm going to get them a promotion. I'm like, wait, that's not what this is.
Yeah,
so you kind of have to coach
those.
people into what what they think the relationship should be as to what it actually is. We have a couple more minutes, so what I want to do is I'm going to ask Gail one question, and we're going to open it up to audience questions. So start thinking about the questions that you may have. But you're from upstate New York. I have a pressing question. It's very important. Are you a Buffalo Bills fan?
Now I am.
Okay.
Now I am. Buffalo's doing really well now, right? I remember back in the day, they were really great. Then they went down into whatever. Now they're doing really good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We got a decent quarterback, you know. But yes, go Bills. All right, now that we got that out of the way. All right. I don't know if we have a microphone that we can pass. I know we had a runner, but I don't know where my DJ is. And anybody have a microphone that can be, if not, we can just yell. Oh, we have a volunteer, or somebody was voluntold. Okay. So, appreciate that. Anybody have a question, just raise your hand and we'll get the mic over. Okay, I think I saw hands over here first. I'm not sure who. So, microphone man, if you can make your way this way. Oh, it's Greg. Hey, Greg.
Thanks, Greg. Hi there, I'm Mashaya Tate. I'm on the founding team for Black and Brown in Technology at Ally Financial. I technically have 3 questions, but I'm going to ask the first one. Thank you, Gail, by the way, for speaking. You're doing an excellent job.
Quick questions.
When the leaders tell you we can't find any good Black candidates in tech, what do you say to them?
You're not looking.
Hi, Gail. I'm Dominique Riley. I'm a technical architect at Salesforce. And I always, since I've done my tech journey 5-6 years ago, get taps on my shoulder saying, I know you're really good at being an IC, but we see you as a people leader or a people manager. And I know before you had previous roles where you were a data architect, software developer. When did you know, or what were the signs that you knew, like, I need to lead, instead of being in my cubicle and then closing my computer at 5 o'clock?
Yeah, I was never one of those. I wish I did work 8 hours a day, you know? But for me, I think leadership is something in you. You know, it's just, when you're with people, there's the synergy that happens, and so outside of work, my mother said, you will never be a follower, you will be a leader. And I didn't know what that meant. But, you know, as I became more and more technically competent, I felt like I wanted to lead people. You know, I needed to do more. But it was my choice. Right? It was my choice. It was my skill that I wanted to expand further. And I think we all need to be careful that you don't get tapped for people manager unless that people manager is going to take you where you need to go from your own career aspirations. Because I became a people manager, but I never lost my technology skills, ever. So I learned how to be a leader, but I learned how to be a technology leader. And that meant I needed to keep my technical chops current. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah, those technical chops come in handy in interviews. People try to get over.
So all the people who didn't join us today, remember, you tell them they should have been here. It was a good session. So when you guys post me on your TikTok, LinkedIn, you know, all of those places, be kind. That's all I ask, is just please be kind.
Well, my name is Michelle Hercules. I'm the one that clapped profusely because I'm from Rochester, New York. And I want to tell you personally that you and Ursula Burns are truly an inspiration to us upstate New York girls.
Thank you.
And I'm going to take you at your word and challenge you, because I would love to receive your mentorship as I pursue creating my own IT consulting company. And so I will contact you on LinkedIn. But overall, I just wanted to say how proud I am and would love to be able to stay in contact.
Thank you.
Hi, Gail.
Hi.
I'm Andre Cunningham. I work in cybersecurity here at Walt Disney Company. My question is, on a lot of these panels, we hear people talk about how they transition. I was in this role, and then I transitioned into that role, and then I transitioned, but they never talk about how they made that transition. So what advice or guidance could you give to someone who's looking to move to that next level where they think or they feel that they may already have the skill set, but they're just not getting that recognition to advance?
That is an excellent question. There's a couple of ways. There were jobs that I was pulled, meaning that I established the right sponsorship and network. So people just looked out for me, right? And they would say, hey, Gail, there's a job over here, you know, that you might be interested in. Because many jobs don't get posted, right? We all know that. That's no secret, right? So there is a question that you need to ask yourself: what is your brand? Right? What is your brand? And you know, I used to do this for one of the teams I led, to say, you know, pick 10 people and just ask them this one question: what are the 3 words that come to mind to you when you think of me? You will be surprised what you get back. Because that is your brand. Whatever you think it might be are your thoughts. But figure out what your brand is first. And then figure out, does that brand fit in the job you'd like to go to? Right? So once you know your brand, you know where Kansas is, like Dorothy, right? So then you just try to figure out how best, you know, what is it that you need. So the first thing I did was I went and interviewed the person in the job I wanted to eventually be considered for, and asked, what are the skills that help them to get that job? And then compare it to the skills I have, because then I have a gap assessment, right? I'm a technologist. I got to do my due diligence. I got to do all that stuff. And once you have that gap assessment, then you're on your own. You have to figure out, who do you need to talk to? I mean, careers have to be managed. They don't just happen. I wish they did, because I would be a CEO then, sitting here, right? But you know, you have to manage it, and so that's how many people make that transition. They're either pulled because they have a great network, or they work at it to maneuver it, or you can just have simple luck. My mother calls that a blessing. Maybe you just get blessed and find yourself in the right place at the right time. And that is a blessing.
Thank you, thank you.
Remember, be kind, take time.
I'm not only the founder of Blacks in Technology, I'm also its mic runner.
We appreciate it. Oh,
Great. We'll make it over.
they're being starved on this side.
Sorry, hi. Hi, so I'm Jasmine Arbuthnot. So I have a question from like a middle management perspective. So I'm curious, you talked about, there was like 15, you said for 15 years you were trying to figure out what are the right words to say, and like you were kind of navigating that space. So I'm curious, during that time period, how did you re-energize yourself to continue to chart your path towards the C-suite? Because I don't think I have to explain this to you by any means, but coming through the ranks as a Black woman, it's just like daily, it feels like you're dealing with so many other things that your peers aren't dealing with. So how did you push through to never forget what your end goal was? Because, and by the way, thank you for being honest about saying like, yeah, I always saw myself in the C-suite, and this is something that I charted myself to, because I feel like a lot of see leaders just act like they just got there because they worked really hard and like there was no path. So thank you for your honesty also there as well.
Yeah, it's hard, shoot. Wow, was I loud? Did that come out? Oh, shoot. You know, I was in a meeting once, and I say this now because it has followed me most of my career. And there was this guy who came up to me, and he said, Gail, I don't know how you're going to take this, but your silence is loud. Like, what the heck is he telling me? He said, your silence is loud. And that's because I knew the answer, but I didn't know if I could position it the right way because it was totally against the person who had the power in the room. So I'm too busy sitting here trying to figure out how to navigate all the people in the room instead of just, it is what it is. I'm just going to say it. So I think to get to the next levels in your career, you do have to be a bit strategic. You just do. And when I say strategic, the one thing I have never done is compromise my values because I believe my mother would jump right out of her grave and grab me, right? So I never compromise my values. And when I say strategic, I'm really saying that you need to be observant in your meetings, and you have to protect your brand. So remember that. You have to be observant. You have to protect your brand. And when you speak, you have to know your stuff, right? You just have to know it. So if you haven't done your homework, let silence be loud. But if you've done your homework and you have a point of view, then speak it. Because you will add more value to the conversation than you think. But to get to the next level of your career, it's relationships, it's networks, it's sponsoring, sponsors, and it's just a journey, and you just keep at it. What refueled me is a statement Susan B. Anthony made. Failure is impossible. It is just simply impossible. And I would write it on the mirrors, I'd write it above my bed, you know, because it's hard. Your feelings get hurt. Boy, that's another one, you know. And you want to cry, you know, your voice gets all choked up, and you don't want, no, this never happened to anybody in this room, right? Your voice gets all choked up, and you don't want to seem weak because you're a woman, and you don't want to cry. That all went out the window one day for me. It's like, I'm just going to cry because this stuff hurts, right? So, you know, I think energized me is that I had a bigger purpose. And I always believed that there is a higher power than anyone in this path. Always a higher power.
All right, we got time for one more question.
Hey.
Okay, guys, remember, be nice to me on TikTok,
I'm gonna be
Instagram,
nice.
LinkedIn. Huh?
Hey, Gail, so I'm Ty Wilmore from Tata Consultancy. I actually, when they first announced that you were coming to Disney, I had already ended my career at Disney, but I was still working at Disney as a vendor. And I told everybody, I said, okay, things are gonna be different now. There's a black woman, she's in charge, she's the CTO. Can you talk to us a little bit about your experience and what your, how it's been for you being a person of color and having people like us and who look like you have expectations for you? Like, what are you gonna do for me? How can I get promoted? How can I move to that next level? And I'm sure it's different for you because we look alike, right? And people are gonna come to you and expect something. So I just wanna hear a little bit about what your experience has been with working with people like us.
Wow, man, you guys don't ask easy questions. I do think that I do get asked a lot, you know, to have virtual coffee and chat, and I try to make room for it. And Robert will tell you that my calendar is crazy, and he doesn't know how I survive sometimes. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate you. I think when I first joined Disney, I was just afraid of my team, and I'm probably confessing here, than they were of me. But I wanted them to respect me as a technologist first. Whether I was black, polka dot, whatever, didn't matter. I wanted my team to know that I'm a technologist and I care. Because I truly do care about people. And that's never going to change. And so if I could start with that, then I would get more positive energy coming back. And I also believe that once you connect with your team, that's how the power happens. That's how the magic happens. That's how folks get up in the morning with some energy and wanting to take on the world. Now, for people like us, black people, I don't really have conversations about what I can do for them. It's always about what can we do, how can we help each other? Because I'm never going to promote anyone because they are black, because they are female, because they are green with red hair. You know, the hardest thing for me in my career was when I decided I wasn't going to perm my hair anymore. You know, I wasn't going to wear braids anymore because I got tired of those 6-hour things that you sit there for 6 hours and pretend you love it, you know, and I wasn't going to do that anymore. It was a freedom. Trust me, it was freedom. It's a freedom. But I don't, if a person came to me and asked me how I can get them promoted, they will be very disappointed with that conversation. But if you come to me and you ask, I need some help to just figure out something, or, you know, here's where I want to go, or, you know, but and I'll leave you guys with this. I owe everything about who I am to my mother and to that higher power. And so I am not afraid of anything because of that. And when you're not afraid, when your bills are in order, you know how you spend so much that your credit card debt is beyond, you know, and you're living from paycheck to paycheck. That's when you become afraid to lose your job because you're not ready. So my advice to you is get ready. And I'll leave you with that. Get ready for wherever you want to go, whatever you want to do. It's called preparedness. Be prepared. And be you. And be as bold as you need to be. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.